So status on Orchard 01. Let's take a look at the graph, see what the so where is it? Isn't there normally like a commit history on here? Pulse maybe? Hang on, guys.
If you go to code, you can see the history from there.
Yeah, but normally you can see all the branches, like in a
Ah, okay, you mean like that? Okay.
Yeah, I just can't remember where it is. Well, give me a second. Here we go.
Extensions.
Right, cool. So it looks like, so I'll just go on code. It makes it easier to read. So this week, so last week was the 14th. So this week, Lombic has updated FluentNHibernate. That's an interesting update. Did this break any of the unit tests, Lombic, Zoltan, or Benedict? Because I'm pretty sure someone tried this before and it broke a bunch of things. I'm surprised you didn't have to change any code while upgrading, because that's a major update. Also the version. It's an interesting one. Did you run the tests? Are they even here? Janos, do you know if Zoltan and Benedict
None of them seem to be there.
Janos, do you know if Zoltan and Benedict ran the tests when they upgraded this FluentNHibernate reference? I don't know. Okay, no worries. We'll follow up with them later. Previous exceptions when running tests. So what did this fix? Maybe incorporated with NHibernate 4. One of our tests uses the database, could not load the file NHibernate. Okay, so FluentNHibernate depended on an old version of NHibernate. So by updating it, the tests are now good. Okay, looks good to me. I wonder what the I wonder how that will help from a perf issue. Okay, so next one is from NetP9C, fixes a select path issue. So let's have a little read of that. How do I get rid of that? Cool. Hang on, let me just get rid of the currently presenting window. So making menu item as active, not always right. It's wrong for situation when first element of second level news 1 and news 2 are not actually added to the menu but have retrospective URLs. Okay. Sign off. This is one of the funniest. I can't imagine any right scenario that could be broken by this code.
We ran into one actually, and this fix took care of it. This
fixed it.
Yeah,
it works nicely. There we go. Awesome, guys. 5 days ago. So this must be the. I'm just going to close these 2 windows. I'll get in my way. Okay, so path is not equal to null. What happens if the path is empty? Does it matter? Rather than just null.
Nothing will be selected.
The path be string.empty. Would that make any difference here?
No, the issue that this one
is not a string. It's an array of menu items.
Yeah, is it okay? Oh yeah, set selected path. Okay, yeah.
There's simply no selected path in the menu.
Okay, I see. What if it's empty? Does that matter?
No.
No? Okay.
No, empty just means no menu item has been selected.
Fine. Okay, I see. And this will return null. Okay, so selected, ordered by descending. Okay. Looks good to me. Ordered by descending. Yeah, okay, that's cool. Okay, next one, renamed private method in NavigationHelper. So I guess you just renamed it to get selected path. What did you actually do? Oh, get instead of set. Okay, cool.
Right.
And you merged 1x with dev. So cool. What was next? I saw some work on the admin theme. Fantastic.
Yes, that is related to the breadcrumbs.
Breadcrumbs. Okay. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So it looks like Antoine has been working on it, and same with Sibka. How's it looking, by the way?
You're about to see.
Ah, okay, okay. I'll flip over to you in a second then.
Yes.
So content picker tab. Cool. Don't add shape header. Okay, so lots of cool stuff. So we'll see that in a second. It doesn't look like there was much work else done on this, unless you guys can tell me. Was there anything else that you guys, the branches?
Not recently.
Maybe we should have a look at 110x as well to see if there's anything there that wasn't merged in.
Good call. No, it doesn't look like 110x. Anything happened on 110x. It looks like Long Beach were quiet this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like a quiet week on the bug fixing front, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, to be honest. I saw a comment on the forums about someone saying that the amount of code being delivered looks like it's decreased quite a lot, but I don't think that is really an issue. Yeah, I don't know if any of you guys saw that same comment.
Yeah, yeah. I saw your response to it as well.
I didn't see the original comments.
It was in my email box, hence why I replied to it. Yeah. Okay, so update on Orchard 2. So let's just tick that one off. Orchard 2. So I think Sebastian talked about these last week. The only real update on Orchard 2 is there was a little bit of recipe work done. So the idea is that, I mean, at the moment with the recipes, what happens is that when you've got a XML file, and when you load it up, it creates you a recipe with one-to-many steps, or recipe steps. And the idea and the issue here is, so let's say your XML file is, 10 megabytes in size. Well, it's going to create you 10 megabytes worth, or it's going to create you the recipe and recipe steps for the entire XML file, because that's what it does. So instead of doing that, what we'll have now is a JSON file, and if it's 10 meg, what will happen is that you'll only have a recipe, and then it will stream in a stream. It will stream in the recipe steps into the database, so that you can avoid having the whole 10 meg in memory, and at the same time you can avoid the recipe and recipe steps from going up to the large object heap, which is kind of nice. So it should save some memory on the server. The other thing that's been going on this week is
Nick, can I ask you a question on that, Nick, on the recipe?
Yeah, by all means.
I remember last summer when we were at BEAD, we did some work specifically on this, the ordering of execution of recipe steps, perhaps not the steps, but the items within the steps. But do you think that this might introduce potentially a regression of that, where the recipe execution engine is now not free to rearrange the order of the things in the recipe file because it's now sort of doing them sequentially, streamingly, if you will?
That's an interesting one. I guess it all depends on how we structure the... Yeah, maybe. I'll have to think about that. What I was trying to avoid is just is basically taking everything and putting it into memory and then processing it to the database, because it's a little bit crap. Though saying that, the ordering is important. Though I haven't come across any of the ordering code, which seems very strange. Though I will take another look. I wonder whether we can do something clever in JSON or something. Maybe introduce an order number or something. I'll have a think about that. But yeah.
Now that I think of it more thoroughly, I think the work that we did was the point of it was to make sure that the ordering of the things in the recipe didn't matter. And I think the way that we did that was to split the execution up into two separate discrete phases, where we would first call all the drivers for just save stuff, and then we would go through them all again and call like a separate phase of the import where they could tie everything up. And in that second phase, they could depend on everything else in the recipe also being in the database at that point.
Yeah, so that happens at this step. So what currently happens is the XML gets loaded up and then goes into the database, right? And then what happens is that it also adds like scheduled tasks. So what happens next is the scheduled tasks run. It picks up the stuff from the database and then calls all the drivers. That part won't change. It's just the part where it picks up the file and streams that into the database. That part will change, so that you're not loading up a big file and placing locks and stuff on it per se. It just removes that kind of overhead, but the overhead afterwards will probably remain.
Yeah. The other question I had on this was you changed. I noticed you changed the XML there to JSON. So I guess that means that you've moved from XML to JSON as the recipe format in O2.
Yes. Yeah.
What sort of thinking did you do there around the automation aspects of it? Because on a majority of the projects that at least that I work on, where we build continuous integration and continuous deployment solutions on Orchard, it's actually pretty nifty to be able to use PowerShell and config transformations and Octopus deploy transformations and things to do stuff to the recipe as part of the deployment process, to tweak it in kinds of ways. And I'm concerned that in O2 that'll be considerably more difficult because there's not as good support for JSON and all of these different tool sets, like the things that you normally use for automation, like Octopus and PowerShell and all that stuff. Have you discussed these aspects?
A fair concern. So in O2, though you can stream in with JSON, the interfaces don't restrict you to JSON. So they restrict you to, so you could, for example, what happens here is that it's streaming JSON into the database, but you could, because it's using JSON.NET, you could have another thing that said, I think they provide it out of the box, an XML to JSON thing. So we could do something maybe along those lines, or maybe what would be even cooler is the way that they do XML, they do configuration files where they say add a JSON file, add an XML file, so on and so forth, and based on that ordering, one overrides the other. Maybe, I don't know. Let me have a think about that as well, because I was thinking the same thing around having XML, because I know that a lot of people like that at the moment, and it does help in certain situations.
It's just a matter of XML being, the tooling support for it being more mature at this point. I'm sure JSON will catch up at some point, but right now, as it stands, it's pretty far behind in terms of support.
So Nick, are you suggesting that maybe the file format, or that multiple file formats could be supported, such as multiple configuration file formats are supported?
Yeah, so in Orchard 2 at the moment, you've got a settings file, right? Just like in Orchard 1, you've got settings.txt. And you also got, so what Orchard 2 allows you to do is do this, settings.json, settings.xml. And I think, actually, you can also do settings.ini. Why you would want to, I don't know, so let's just get rid of that one. This one is the one that rules everything, and then these two can override it. You just include it and it works. out of the box. So I wonder whether we could do something along the same lines within the recipe stuff. But I don't know if that's such a good idea. It might be a nice way to split stuff out, so you have like a master recipe file, and then you've got all the other ones like kind of added on afterwards. I don't know.
Well, I guess the key takeaway here is what you're saying is you're building this in an extensible enough manner that somebody could go and replace the parsing engine with something that understands XML down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And the recipes interfaces are all separated out into their own project as well, so all their own NuGet package. So the way that I want to see recipes work is that it's not really reliant on the Orchard ecosystem at all. So when it goes to save something to the database, it's just calling an interface, and you can take recipes and do whatever you want with it. So if you wanted a orchard.recipes.xml, then you could probably do that and override a couple of classes, and it should just work.
Okay, that's cool then.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hopefully, we'll see. And the other cool thing that's been going on this week in O2 is this guy, John Terry. So if anyone wants to try having a look at his pull requests, it's pretty insane. But he's done, he's been working on dynamic compilation, and I think I did a little code review today. But he's introduced parallel compilation. So if anyone wants to give that a go on Orchard 2, then that would be really cool, because I know that he's looking for a lot of feedback, and I think Sebastian's on holiday. So yeah, parallel compilation, which would be interesting to see how that works and if that speeds things up. He's done a lot of work on this thing, so let's keep an eye on it. Almost more work than Sibka on layouts.
Almost, yeah.
Almost. Right. Okay, cool. So that's Orchard 2 done. So demo, Sibka. How do I hand you presenter role?
Demo. I am a presenter, so.
Can you steal my presenter role? Ah, stop presenting. There you go. So now you can present. Oh wow, so this is the admin screen. Sibka?
Oh, sorry guys, I was muted.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So yeah, this is the new admin theme based on Bootstrap. Nick, is this the first time you're seeing this?
I've seen it one or two times, but because sometimes I miss meetings. It's nice to see this thing evolve. So it looks really good.
We're getting there. There's still some work to do, but
the icon looks quite nice with the wooded color.
Yeah, I love this icon. It's like on a school board with a crayon, as if it were sketched on a school board. But what I wanted to show today is something very small, but I think very useful, is breadcrumbs, because there's many subscreens on a given area in the admin, and then sometimes there's back buttons, not always, but it could be useful to be more efficient with navigating. For example, here we are looking at the list screen, which still needs some styling, as you can see. But if we, for example, filter by the page type, then that becomes part of the breadcrumbs. And this breadcrumbs, it's based on the iNavigation provider. Each module can provide its own breadcrumb provider, similar to the ability to providing a menu item to the main menu here on the left. And you can do all sorts of things that are tailored to the module. For example, I can create a new page. And this module, this contents module, knows how to populate this tree of menu items rendered as a breadcrumb trail. And so, for example, this is the new page. We can also, now we are here at the content items level. We can create new content, and it knows how to display the create section. And then we can go to page, and then we're here again. And also, this also works. This has been implemented for settings, where we can go and add and remove cultures. Antoine specifically asked for this implementation, so that works. And I think for taxonomies as well. No, not taxonomies. Block. Yes, blocks is implemented as well. So we have home. I'm not sure if we should keep home, because maybe we should just start at this root level here. But let me know what you guys think. In any case,
maybe home could be a little icon instead, like a house.
Oh, like a house. Yeah. I like that. And then that will take you to the dashboard.
Yeah. So is that dashboard at the top, that drop down where you had the word orchard? What does that orchard go to? Is that just home, or could that flip?
I'm not sure I like it, but I understand why they did it, because it's the way this theme was built up. Because we want this to be part of the menu, or at least this link needs to be part of the menu, so that the menu structure works. If we remove this from the menu structure, then it wouldn't be visible here, but then something else breaks. I don't recall the details, but there's a technical reason we're looking at it. And maybe it's not a bad idea if we think about the customizable dashboards, because there's the dashboards feature, which enables you to customize this dashboard that you're looking at. And
will it let you jump between tenants? So the tenants that you've got accounts on?
Interesting. We could do that. That could be a menu section. Yeah. But also there could be multiple dashboards. Well, technically that's already possible. It's not exposed through the UI. But maybe you could see multiple dashboards here. That could be a scenario. But maybe we should just provide some rendering that if this dashboard menu item contains a single sub-item, we shouldn't render it, but instead this dashboard main menu item should link you to this dashboard screen.
That makes sense to me.
Okay, so but that's the reason you currently see this thing here. But that needs some polishing.
Sipke, a question. In the Amaretti theme, is there a way, the navigation bar to the far left, is there a way to have it render more horizontally, where it can take up a little bit more width and save some height? Because it looks like it'll go, depending on the number of items in and out, you'll have to scroll. Takes a lot of,
yeah. Well, yeah. We can tweak this. There's no such setting in the Amaretti theme as far as I know, none that I've seen. There's just an option where you can have this fixed, so that you can scroll this main screen, but then this stays fixed, similar to this top menu. But that, of course, doesn't solve the fact that you still need to solve a long way or scroll a long way to the bottom.
Yeah, but and I'm thinking if you're targeting
decreasing the font size or the icon size to recover some of the screen real estate.
I'm thinking it could be based on horizontal viewport. So if you're above a certain threshold, width is less expensive. So then you could reorient it and have the texts to the right of the icons. And maybe below a certain threshold, it could be like you show it now.
Yeah, that could be very good. Yeah, we should try that out. That might work nicely. Yeah, because it's true now, it takes a lot of vertical space, and maybe it's unnecessary.
Is there an option for small icons?
There's no option, but we could introduce it since this is font awesome, or something similar. So that might be an idea.
Hey, do we ever fix the issues with licensing for this theme?
We totally fixed it, man.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes, it's pretty cool. The Amaretti designer, the creator, he created a separate version of the Amaretti theme. It's called the Orchard Admin theme or something like that, and it's a contribution to Orchard.
Which we're paying him for, right?
Which we're paying for him for handsomely. Yes, let that be noted. But nonetheless, he was cool enough to help us solve this licensing issue, and it's perfect now. It's completely owned by Orchard.
Okay, good, fantastic.
If that's
really
possible,
good.
if Orchard can own anything. But anyway, yeah, it's part of Orchard. Yep. So I was okay. So yeah, you get the gist, I suppose, with the breadcrumbs. It can also show you the current blog that you're on. So you see blogs, blog, new post. So this I think works nicely in the implementation. As you can see here, as an example, the contents module has both an admin menu to provide menu items to the left here, and there's an admin breadcrumbs class, and that's optional, of course. If you don't have an admin breadcrumbs class, then you will simply not contribute to the breadcrumbs widget or shape. And this base class is just the helper or a convenience base class that ultimately implements our navigation provider, so you don't have to add the root menu item. And it's interesting because it's completely up to the module to define how this structure looks like. And yeah, that's my little demo. If there are any questions regarding that, including implementation, please let me know.
No, that's really good.
No further questions. Okay.
Nice addition.
Cool.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so next up, Jody, do you want to demo? Hey, George, welcome back. How are your travels?
They were good. 25 hours on a plane is a long time, but glad to be back.
25,000 miles, right?
Over 25,000 miles.
Wow.
Yes, lots and lots of time. 6 flight segments, 7 flight segments. I can't even remember. But yes, India is an amazing and delicious place. So if you ever have the chance to go, you should go.
Fantastic, man. Welcome back. Joe, do you want to demo CloudScribe?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised you guys are interested in that, but I could. I mean, I've got CloudScribe Core, which is really just a foundation for sites, users, and roles, and then I've got CloudScribe Simple Content, which currently is not integrated with CloudScribe Core. It's really just a simple blog and content engine.
Do you want to demo it for 10 minutes or 5 or whatever you feel comfortable doing? Are you in a position to demo? If you're not, then don't worry. It's absolutely fine.
I mean, I can just show you what I does or something. I don't know what you. I don't know. I wasn't expecting to demo anything for sure.
It was only because Antoine mentioned. It's okay. Don't worry. You don't need to demo if you don't want to. It's cool. All right. So the only last topic is harvest update. So, is there any harvest updates, Sibka?
No harvest updates. Although Rob King, he proposed to, he offered to take the lead on it if we host it in Newcastle, which might be interesting. Although the weather is not as good as Miami, but he is willing to organize the entire thing, which is pretty awesome. Other than that,
Newcastle is a very fun city. I haven't been personally, but it's a very fun city.
Yeah, Daniel, do you agree?
I totally agree. Yeah.
Yes, it is a fun city,
especially on a Friday night.
What's the company up there? Was it Bet something or other, wasn't it?
Yeah, Beat Gaming.
Ah, that's it. Beat Gaming. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So that's all the updates I have for now.
Having someone who's actually willing to take the lead on it and sort of arrange the whole thing is worth a lot.
Yes, It really is, because it takes time and effort.
Yeah.
And they're a big company as well, so they probably I don't know, it might be worth considering.
Yeah.
Definitely worth it. And also I heard that there are many Orchard developers there in the UK.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you met a lot of them last harvest, didn't you? You met all the guys from River, and there's quite a few around here actually. Not that I know any of them. So yeah, it would be interesting. Interesting if it was hosted in the UK. I don't know whether it's stateside turn though, or whether it's I don't know.
Sorry, if what?
I don't know if it's meant if we're meant to be doing it stateside. That was all. Because normally it's
Well,
stateside
yeah, that
and then
has
Europe.
been a
Isn't it?
tradition, and if you
Yeah.
follow this tradition, then yes, it's the US's term. But you know, traditions.
Hey, if someone's willing to organise it, then it can be anyone's turn, right?
I think that's I think that's more important than the tradition.
Yeah. And George has
Yep.
been flying a lot, so he can still fly over.
Miami's closer. Miami probably has a lot better weather.
Yeah, definitely better weather. But what I'll do, I'll ask Rob King for some quotes of of a conference hall, and and then we can compare.
Okay, fantastic.
I'll see if I can get some data from Miami. I have a couple of friends still there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be great too.
Okay, so anyone for any more? Anyone got any topics they want to discuss? Orchard 1, Orchard 2, anything?
Yeah, when do you think Orchard 2 is ready for an initial version? And of course, must be very hard to say, but you've been.
Well,
deep
why don't
into
we
it.
go through? Should we have a look at the roadmap?
Let's do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Let me just share my screen again, and let's have a look at the roadmap and see. And I'll give you an idea of where I think it is. Though I'm not. I know most of what's going on as I follow it. So let's take a look. So the roadmap is ignore the failed builds. It's just because we haven't focused on that. You guys can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So let's take a look at the roadmap. So, okay, cool. So the idea behind this is that we're gonna when Orchard was released the first time, they released basically a framework with 1 or 2 modules. I'm sure Bertrand remembers Orchard.cms pages, for example, which then got later ripped out and was more of a proof of concept. I think we're going to go along the same lines and release, and that was Orchard 0.1. I think we're going to go along the same lines. Obviously, this is going to be Orchard 2, so what the naming convention will be interesting. But we've got it down as pre-alpha, so it will be something for people to get. But whether you guys want to release it or not, that's entirely up to you. So we've got a lot of this stuff working already. Dynamic compilation and loading was supported in RC1, but when upgrading to RC2 changed a lot of things. And when I talk about RC1 and RC2, I talk about the core CLR. So the switch from DNX to the RC2 stuff changed a lot of things. So we've got John Terry working on that. We have setup. So setup runs. It doesn't run recipes at the moment because recipes is on a branch. Third attempt. It does run database migrations. It sets up stuff. The modules are hard coded at the moment. So obviously with recipes being introduced, that will change that. So that's kind of working.
What do you mean? Cool. Modules are hard coded.
So the modules themselves are. So like how you have recipes, and the recipe defines what modules are enabled for a particular tenant. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment, all the modules are hard coded into Orchard 2, so that when you set it up, we enable all the modules.
Oh, okay.
Because we haven't got recipes to say, right, enable these, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Yeah, so the feature state step in the recipes is not implemented.
Yeah. Multi-tenancy is working, and that's been working pretty much from day A, though it's gone through 1 or 2 rewrites, and I know that Sebastian has been tweaking that recently. Theming and shapes, you've seen some demos from Sebastian. I would say shapes is pretty ready, actually. It looks really good. Same with the document database and migrations, which is good. Declarative dependency injection. So we have that. That's taken from Orchard 01. That's iDependency and iSingleton dependency in that lot. We have some work to do on that. One of the issues we've got at the moment is we have a lot of core modules, and what I mean by that is you've got Orchard Framework. Orchard Framework was broken out into a lot of separate, I say modules, I mean distinct areas inside of separate DLLs, for example. Now, that they contain iDependency references. Now, what we don't want is we don't want those in there because we want to break out the implementation and separate the abstractions from the concrete implementations. And we can't do that with iDependency. And we want to go down more along the route of, if you guys have looked at the MVC project, for example, the way they say, well, add a web host, add this, or add MVC. We want the same thing for core items. So we've got some work to do around this. I mean, this works. It's just not the way we want it to work at the moment. Navigation API is working. That's there. We haven't got the latest stuff from UCIVCA, but obviously that's in a branch, so we won't get that for a while. Event bus works. I would like to see iObserver and iObservable implemented into Event bus. They're new in CoreFX, new interfaces. So it would be quite cool to see that because Event buses is just an observer pattern. So it would be quite cool to see. Authentication and authorization, I haven't seen that working, but I know that Sebastian has implemented it. So it'd be worth taking a look at that. So I can't give you an update on that one. Content parts and content fields are working. Content types and settings. I think we saw a demo a couple of weeks ago where where Sebastian demoed that. And the list module and deferred tasks. So he demoed, so where we previously had iProcessing engine, we now have an iDeferred task scheduler or something along those lines. So, I can't give you a percentage on how far along that is, but a lot of this stuff is implemented, just as we mentioned here. Recipes is a work in progress. We do not have placement yet, and we don't have a resource manager. The admin theme, well, we need to see how we can port the admin theme that you guys are working on across to O2. We use Bootstrap 4. Are you guys using Bootstrap 4 for Amaretti?
No, but the author mentioned that he is going to update it to Bootstrap 4, and we will inherit those changes.
Fantastic.
So yes.
So we should be able just to take what you've done in Orchard 1, move it across, and obviously there's going to be some changes because we're going to want to implement tag helpers. And the way that we've done some UI stuff has obviously changed in relation to theming and shapes. So we should be able to simplify things slightly. How, I don't know yet. But yeah, that would be kind of cool. Background tasks. Background tasks is an interesting one because they run in process in IIS or whatever, and because we're not tying ourselves. Well, they run in process on request, so not necessarily in IIS, but in your web server. So what we need to see is if the MVC team have done any kind of abstractions with background tasks. I have a feeling they have. I know it's one of the hangovers from the old ASP stuff that was kind of a bit horrible to implement. So I wonder whether there's a bit of a sexier solution around that. Now, you asked when will this thing happen? As in, when will this be released? Well, I don't know. I don't see it being released within a month. Maybe 3 months' time, it might be released. I mean, it's dependent on when the admin theme's ready, when I finish recipes, and I'm not here for a little while, in about a month's time. and how fast we managed to kick Sebastian's butt into finishing some of the others. And also, you know, John Terry, like a lot of this stuff has been contributed by external parties. Like the stuff John Terry's doing on dynamic compilation is fantastic.
Yes, I've seen the email notifications. That's pretty amazing.
It is really, really awesome. And, like, I can't wait to see that actually fire up. You know, actually in the master branch. So, yeah, I honestly I can't give you a date, but I mean that's really the status of where we're at. The rest of the stuff, you know, import export, some of that's going to come with recipes because you need partial import export to go with recipes. We have some stuff for localization. You'd probably be able to localize with what's it called, resource files by default, I think at the moment, just because that's what it supports. We haven't implemented PO files or anything along those lines. Yeah, so yeah, that's where we are at the moment. And of course, you can run on
what are we doing for dynamic compilation in .NET Core? Are we targeting Roslyn APIs directly, or how are we doing it?
I think John Terry took some of the stuff that the MVC solution does with Razor views and turned that into dynamic compilation with modules. I can't tell you whether it's targeting Roslyn. I don't think you target Roslyn directly. I think what happens is you inject in a compilation engine, an I compilation engine, and you call that. Now, if that's Roslyn, then that's cool. It's really dependent on what environment you're running on, I think. Yeah. I mean, we can have a look at his pull request. I'm pretty sure it's I compilation engine.
That's an abstraction that that is in .NET Core.
Yeah. I don't remember. I can't remember. There's something in here that specifies compilation options. I think that might be it, actually. I can't remember. I would have to look a bit deeper. At least in DNX, you used to use an I compilation engine, and what happened is that would inject normally a C# compiler, and I think that was a wrapper around Roslyn. And I think there's also a VB compiler, if you ever use that. But I don't remember how he's done it. I read through this code earlier, and I don't quite understand all of it at the moment. Like he's doing a lot of stuff. Like this is crazy.
Yeah, pretty advanced thing to tackle.
Well, yeah. Like really cool. I mean, I know it looks like I'm criticizing him here, but it's not really. It's just little tidbits. It's a lot of file reading, which is interesting. But I guess that you need that for compilation, right? See how we're targeting is OS platform Windows. So you know we've got stuff in here for Windows. I wonder how this will work going forward. So if someone introduces something for Mac or for Linux, how will we know? I wonder if we've got tests around that. See what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's other stuff in here to do with runtime information. Yeah. I don't know how he's done how the compilation stuff works. To be frank, it might just be this actually metadata reference. Yeah, don't know. Any other questions, guys?
No, that's for me.
Ah, there you go, compiler. That's it. So what is compiler?
C# extension compiler is the class that he defined near the top, I saw.
Ah, that might be it. Okay. Then I don't know what he's doing in there. Yeah.
I didn't mean to have you go digging. It was just a curiosity. question.
No, it's fine. I was actually wondering myself. Yeah. Oh well. But it looks pretty crazy. A lot of logging. But if you guys have seen the if you guys are working in Visual Studio, this is actually what it looks like when you're working with it. So he uses Visual Studio Code, and he's put some pictures up. Where are they? If you guys go to Jitter, he put pictures up of the compilation stuff, and it looks really cool. So dynamically compiled, dynamic compilation. Dynamically compiling, orchard.content for .NET Standard. So that looks really neat. So I don't know how it compiles while you're in Visual Studio. That would be interesting. I wonder whether
he's got the debugger attached.
Yeah, okay, he's got the debugger attached. But that's quite cool. You've got all this. You've got all the output just like you're in Visual Studio. I think that's pretty neat.
Very.
Yeah. All right, cool. Anything else, guys?
I think that's it. Thank you, Nick. This was great. Thank you for doing this.
Cool. No worries, guys. I'll stop presenting.